Why keep chasing annoying, ungrateful, unrealistic, lunatic leads and prospects when you could actually attract ideal, right fit, repeat, referring, and reviewing clients? I don't know. I don't know why you would do that, but most real estate agents are doing it all day, every day. I want you to learn the marketing system that I've used for years and years and trained agents and coaching clients forever that simply helps you stop chasing crazy and helps you attract ideal. I'm Todd Tramonte, and this is Commissioned, the podcast for real estate agents and team leaders that want to get out of chaos and the grind and the crazy and get into freedom and income and impact and wealth building. I run DFW Real Estate Team where we make over 7 figures in GCI every single year, regardless of market and rates and all that jazz. And a huge chunk of our business comes from this exact system of attracting ideal clients instead of chasing wannabe prospects. This is something that's really changed my life, changed a bunch of our clients and our agents on our team's lives, and I want to share it with you right now. I've actually got some coaching clients right now that have made a huge shift in this direction, basically figuring out this 3-step process for them, determining that with a very new team, they just recently partnered up to create a team that they wanted to really attract more than chase. So they've determined pretty quickly who they wanted to go after, and that was basically military veterans, primarily Marine Corps, but really the broad range of U.S. military veterans that they wanted to make sure that they weren't getting taken advantage of or losing their military benefits as it relates to financing and other property access type stuff, as well as transfers and orders to relocate and things like that. And then trying to figure out how they can do that with pretty limited budget, but with an incredible work ethic. So what we were able to do is kind of put together this simple process for them to the point that now they're generating a buyer every single week, sometimes more, and they're pretty darn close to a listing every single week as well. And they're really beginning the process of turning down their other lead gen, their pay-per-click and things like that, because they can't handle all the inbound business that fits their niche, fits their specialization, the area that they want to work in with the people they want to work in that are coming to them with sort of that authoritative expert attitude where the prospects are inbound and really feeling fortunate and thankful and privileged to get to work with these folks. And they can't get to all of them right now anyway. So they're turning down other marketing, saving cost, again, with a limited budget, and really putting those dollars towards hiring staff to help them serve more and more clients. There's a lot to get into here, but it's a very simple 3-step process. And so I'm going to walk you through what I've done with my team and coaching clients over 20 plus years to attract ideal clients instead of chasing the crazy. And when I say chasing the crazy, I'm sure you know for the most part what I mean. The people that you can work with them, but you kind of don't want to, right? And that was true for these clients as well, these coaching clients, where they were working with just about anybody, anywhere on any type of deal because they really needed to get their team up off the ground, to keep the revenue coming in, to fund the expenses, to keep the growth and the progress going, even though many of those prospects they really didn't want to work with. They didn't want to work in that geographic area or in that property type or maybe in that price point, or they just didn't like those prospects that much. Maybe they weren't respectful. We've all had clients that weren't really grateful, that didn't recognize value, or that were just jerks. And we've all worked with them in the past. I say we all have. Many of us have worked with them when we didn't really want to. That wasn't our preference. And so here's a quick 3-step process. Very simple to see, very simple to write down, very simple to think through, but pretty complex in the delivery. But it is possible. You can absolutely do this, whether you're newer as a team, whether you're transitioning into that team process, you've been productive as an agent, and you're thinking about going the team route, or if you're killing it as a team, but you're still in that area where there's a lot of chaos and a lot of grind and a lot of kind of disorder, even though there may be financial success, transactional success, happy clients and things like that, this is a process you can implement in just about any situation within a residential real estate business, really any business, that's going to dramatically help you go from chasing to attracting, from working with the ungrateful crazy to the ideal, grateful, repeat, referring, and reviewing prospects. Okay, so really quick framework. Step 1, we determine the market that we want to serve first. Okay, step 2, we determine the message that market needs to hear, that communicates what we can do for them. And third, and only third, we establish the media, the manner that we're going to reach that market with that message. Okay, so we have to do this in that order. So very quickly, just to review what these folks have done, they determined that their market was military veterans in their geographic area, basically in their county. Number two, they crafted their message, and I'm not going to share the whole thing with you now, but they crafted their message to be very specific to that audience about their military benefits as it relates to residential real estate. Financial benefits, access to property in certain rural areas, things like that. And then their understanding of how to take advantage of that when they're relocated for military service, if they're active duty, or as a veteran, the things that they still have access to as a veteran. And then, of course, on top of that, are lots of world-class service type elements that any of us would offer anyone, but that they can specifically layer into the understanding of the needs of that target audience, that market, okay? So the message is tailored to them. And then finally, the media for them, without a huge marketing budget, but with a great work ethic, ended up being some very specific social media groups where there was already critical mass of this target audience, or at least a lot of the folks in that target audience. And so they were able to get the right message to the exact right people in a media that didn't cost them a bunch of dollars, but they were able to invest time. And now they're attracting, honestly, compared to most residential real estate teams, a ton of business inbound, where the prospects are really grateful to get to speak with them. They're grateful for the information. They're grateful for the advocacy, and they're extremely loyal. And they're highly likely to repeat and refer, and they're already doing that for this very young team. Experienced agents with some success in their past for sure, but a very young team. So this is a process I've been through many times in my own businesses, certainly in our real estate team. And I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agents through our coaching program to do this as well. But I got to be honest, I've made all the mistakes here as well. So I want to dig a little bit deeper so that you can think through this in your business. Again, whether you're a highly productive agent making good money who's thinking about team, or whether you're a team that's in this rapid scaling mode, you're thinking about how to build these systems in, or maybe you're killing it as a team, but you're still in some of that grind and chaos and confusion and lack of clarity, and you need to implement marketing systems like this. Okay, so number one, we need to pick our market, right? Now, right here, market means who. Who can you serve? Now, before we get to message, we just have to, these things are all interconnected, right? So who is it that you can serve? Who is it that has a need that you can fulfill? Who is it that has a problem that you can solve, an itch that you can scratch, right? Most people are motivated towards pleasure or away from pain. So you want to think about it that way. Who has a desire that you can help them fulfill, or a frustration that you can help them avoid, or something, pleasure or pain? What's it going to be, right? Now, that's more of the message piece, but we have to think about who is that, okay? So if you're former military and you just want to serve former military, that's a good idea, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the right market for you. Do they have a need that you can meet, okay? So who is the market? We could do whole episodes on just that piece, and maybe we will soon. But for now, who can you serve? Who do you want to serve? Who can you realistically serve? Who is an audience that's large enough with enough transactional activity and turnover that you could reach your goals with them? Okay, so that's market, right? It's really the who. Now, there can be some geographic elements to that. It could be, school teachers in your town. It could be other things. And we could get into this much more, microscopically. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a who, but it should almost always be a who plus, right? So in a certain location with a certain property type, in a certain price point, that kind of thing. So for the moment, we'll leave it there. Who are you going to serve? Then and only then, we can now say, what does that group of people need? What do they want? And our message is going to start being tailored to that, right? So your message may be specifically about the benefits to military veterans, or the risk to military veterans. If your audience happens to be 55 plus, we talk about our message is going to be tied to the unique benefits, maybe specific communities, financing opportunities, exemptions for property taxes and things like that. But the message is going to be very compact. It's going to be focused on the market. It's going to be about them, not about you, not about us, not about the professional, but about the market, the target market, the beneficiary. The message is going to be about the outcome that we can deliver to them. Sometimes it's in the form of a guarantee, but it's a very specific, concise, differentiated message so that when the people in the market hear it, they know, oh, that's for me. That's not for everyone. That's very specifically for me, and I want that, or I want help to avoid that, right? So the message is very specific, and it's only for that very well-defined market, okay? Now, step 3, after completing 1 and 2 very thoroughly, we choose the media. And by media, I just mean the delivery method. Okay, so we have the who, the market, the what is the message, and then the how is the media. How do I get that message to that market? So for example, if the market is 55 plus or adults that would want to live in a 55 plus community, right? And the message is, how to find the best deals in those areas, or how to avoid being isolated in your later years or whatever. That's not my target market, so I don't have a perfect message for you, but we could craft that together, and I've done that with coaching clients before. But then the media would be specific to the market. Where do those people read? What do they watch? What do they listen to? Where do they go? Okay, so what is the delivery method that the message would best get to that market, right? So if it's 55 plus, maybe it's AM talk radio. I've done a lot on AM talk radio. I have a show, and so I know a little bit more about that one. It probably would not be TikTok. Now that might change in the future. TikTok may become a hotbed of, senior citizen behavior and activity and social interaction. I don't know. The reality is this: they have to match. So it's not just which one do I think is cool, which one's popular, which one's most affordable, which one do I understand best. This is where oftentimes real estate agents make big mistakes, choosing a market thinking that they are their own target market, or choosing a message that they like or that they want to say and record and type all the time. Or they choose a media that they enjoy. I love podcasts, so I'm going to use podcasting to reach my audience. Well, that may not be a fit. I love YouTube, so I'm going to use YouTube. Well, that may not be a fit. I actually enjoy getting postcards. Well, that may not be a fit. So this is where we have to identify the market first. And then as we study the market and we understand who these people are and what that part of the country or part of town or that property type, the behavior of those people, that helps us identify then the message. And of course, it helps us identify the media. Now, let me be very clear. If you really develop this for a long period of time with real depth of thought and with some budget and with some ROI on it that can be reinvested, there is a point where we can use multiple different media. So I might be reaching 55 plus folks that would be interested in 55 plus communities with a message about the unique locations and benefits and risks and things related to the desired outcome within those communities. And then I might use direct mail. I might also use AM radio. I might use YouTube. I might use live events. Those could all be potentially appropriate media to get that very unique message to that very unique market. So I think I've been pretty clear about that. This is something that you can implement at any stage of business with almost any type of market. And when I say almost, I've never heard of one that it wouldn't apply to, but I'm sure there's an exception out there somewhere. Now, again, I said I've made every mistake that I'm aware exists in this idea, but basically just in this marketing system. I have fallen in love with a media that didn't really make sense for my market and wasted a bunch of time and a bunch of energy and a bunch of money on it. Years and years ago, I owned a franchise and I ran TV commercials because I was excited that I could target a specific zip code. I ran these cheesy animated TV ads that literally never generated a single lead. Because I wanted to be on TV. I thought it would be cool. It wasn't just an ego play. I thought I could reach tons of people, but it really wasn't a fit for the media for the market I was after. And honestly, the message was a mess. So I've also fallen in love with a message. I've thought the combination of wording was very clever and should elicit a great response, but I didn't have it fully dialed into the target market I was after. Because honestly, there have been times where I didn't have a target market. I was willing to work with anyone, anywhere, at any price point, any geography, any property type, because I was hungrier. I was needier at those earlier stages of my career, right? And by all means, I just confessed that I've messed up the market part by either not having one or sometimes trying to serve about 6 of them at the same time. This is also a problem when it comes to message. People have multiple messages across no or multiple markets, and then they get the media part all messed up for sure. So there's a lot of ways to get this wrong. But if you can get it right, it becomes about the fastest path to inbound, grateful, high value, appreciative, repeat, referral, review type clients. How does that sound? How does it sound not to be chasing people that don't want to talk to a real estate agent, chasing people that will constantly just tell you they're not ready right now? They don't want what you have. They already know a realtor. They already have a realtor, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about putting out an appropriate message for a specific market with the ideal media so that they come to you. They call you. It doesn't always have to be a call. Inbound could be an opt-in on your website. It could be an email. It could be a text in. It could be a come into the office, attend an event. But this is somebody that is coming to you in response to the right message delivered by the appropriate media to the exact right fit market. And when you get this right, you're going to have you have the potential at least to have what we often have, which is a waiting list of clients. Especially on our sell side, we often have people waiting to work with us, but we know our capacity to delight our clients. And once we're at capacity, we begin to put people on a waiting list. But when they're inbound and they see your value and they feel grateful and privileged to be able to work with you, then not only are they willing to wait and tell other people that they had to wait in a good way, they're going to perceive your value at a much higher level and be willing to pay you your fee and lots of other really good things that we all want when it comes to having a great real estate business. So there's lots of ways to get this right. There's lots of ways to get this wrong. I've done both. We've had great coaching clients do both. I will tell you, in a season of basically the bulk of 20 years, having as much business as we could generally handle. There have certainly been seasons where we would have been appreciative of more. This comes down to attracting more and more and more ideal clients and chasing less and less and less non-ideal clients, right? So when you get this right, when you take the time to really, really dig into who's the market you want and who's the market that makes sense. Sometimes you want a market, it's exciting, but it's just not big enough. There's not enough transactions in that group of people or in that geography or that price point or that property type. But it could be a market you still serve, but it might not be your best primary market. It might not be the market that you put the most of your time and attention and dollars and focus on. But it may be one that you can still serve. It may be that the market is great, but you have just been really lazy with your messaging. You've just been saying, we can help you buy and sell houses. You know, we're really committed to our clients where it's all about you instead of making it all about them. They have to be the hero of this message, and it's got to be focused on the outcome that they really want that you can deliver. And then the media part is the easiest thing I see people getting wrong. I see them really, literally going in reverse order. This is the media I want to use. This is kind of what I want to say, and I hope it reaches someone that I'm willing to work with. Okay. The other big mistake I see people is right out of the gate trying to serve a bunch of different markets with a bunch of different messages and a bunch of different media. So my suggestion and what's worked for us is getting one of these right at a time and trying to maximize the value that you can out of that. And by value out of, I mean help as many people as you possibly can with this very specific market, with that very specific message and the right media fit. And then once you dial that in, scale it up, you maybe can add a second or third media for that specific market with that really one primary message. You can have variants of that message as you mature, but in the beginning, let's go number one market, number two message, number three media for one market, one message, one media, and maximize that. When you start seeing that inbound business come and see the profitability that comes with it, the fun that comes with it, and I'm not exaggerating when I say fun. It's fun when people are like, oh my gosh, I would be so grateful if we were if we could have you guys sell our home. We'd be so grateful if you could help us buy. Hey, I know we probably are going to have to wait a few weeks, but we're happy to do that as long as we get to work with you. That's a lot of fun. And by the way, profitability is a lot of fun. And when people come inbound and they see the authority that comes with your buttoned up marketing, that it makes sense to them, that you have something that no one else has specifically for them, you're going to be able to charge what you're worth. You're going to be able to be much more profitable, hire help, have the right systems, dial in your technology, and be able to deliver more value, which just spins this flywheel faster and better. So more inbound, more profit, and just keeps perpetuating itself. So if you get this right, if you get it in the right order, if you're just patient enough to define these things in order and be fully invested, you too can start attracting more ideal clients than you can handle instead of chasing the crazy. If this is something you're wanting to do, if you're a successful real estate agent or team leader right now, but you still know you need to implement a better marketing system like this or other systems, you can actually click the link in the description below. We can chat a little bit and I can kind of put together an outline or a framework to help you get this rolling and have a conversation about how a little bit more system and order can help you get from that chaos and the grind to the freedom and the wealth and the income and the impact that a great business can bring.